Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So today we are going to talk about Hawaii. We're going to talk about $700. We're going to talk about FEMA. We are going to talk about some reporting that is accurate but lacks a whole bunch of context that is leaving people without information that they need. We are going to talk about some questions that came in and try to provide those answers throughout this video. We are going to be focusing on questions from people in Hawaii. However, if you are somebody who is super mad right now over the $700 payment, you should watch this too, because you're one of the people that is missing context. So, reporting went out. People who were impacted by the fire in Hawaii, they can get a $700 payment. And most places, that's where they're leaving it at because it's good for outrage. It's great for getting clicks. However, that leaves people in Hawaii unaware of other resources that are available. To be clear, the $700 payment that is being dispersed, that is for gas, food, and a change of clothes. That's it. That $700 amount, those payouts like that, they happen all the time in disasters. That is not, by any means, the total amount of resources available to you if you are in Hawaii. For comparison, I think Michael had the $700 thing. Oftentimes it comes on a card. Sometimes it just shows up in your account. The $700 thing, that was part of Michael or something similar to it. I'm not sure if the dollar amount was the same. But within the first year, FEMA dispersed about $2 billion. Almost $2 billion, at 1.9 something. Just within the first year to help with recovery. FEMA, as a disaster, as an emergency relief organization, in my humble opinion, they are not great. They do one thing well, hand out money. That's the one thing that they actually do, that they are pretty good at. Sometimes there's paperwork involved and there's hoops to jump through, but the resources are there. Do not let people who make their living by provoking outrage leave you thinking that there aren't resources available to you. Okay, so there are two types of things that are going to spring up. You're going to have a disaster relief center, something with that name. Relief, short term. This is where you're going to get MREs, water and ice is what normally shows up after hurricanes here, okay? That's normally run by the National Guard or sometimes a nonprofit, maybe the Red Cross, something like that. Then there is going to be a disaster recovery center, recovery long term. If you need help financially, that's where you go. That's going to be FEMA. The problem with FEMA when it comes to this is they often set this place up where it happened. The reason FEMA is there is because everybody had to leave there. So sometimes it is it's hard to get to where they have set this place up. They don't always think that all the way through. But there will be, undoubtedly, there will be resources available for temporary housing, hotel reimbursement. There's going to be a ton of public assistance grants available. As far as scale, okay, not necessarily intensity, but as far as scale, this isn't as big as Michael as far as impacted area. If you're looking for something to compare it to, there was the fire in North Carolina. There, I want to say within the first few months, they gave out about $250 million. Way more than a $700 check. Do not let these people make you think resources aren't available. There's tons. Like I said, it's the only thing that in my experience they're actually really good at. So if you are somebody who is in need, my understanding is that the comms there, the communications there are back up and running. You know, you have a decent flow of information. Listen to where FEMA is setting up their posts for financial assistance. And it may just say financial assistance. Because of some of the coverage, if you already got your $700, you may think that that's what that's for. There's going to be more available. I mean, keep in mind, FEMA is known in this area, they will actually deliver housing, like physically deliver like a small trailer or something like that. There's a lot of programs available. Don't let the outrage farming leave you in a position where you're not taking advantage of stuff that your taxes pay for. The assistance is there. So that's the key element. Now, for all the people who sent in, why is it only $700 that aren't in Hawaii? I hope that answers the question. It is way more than that. Way more than that that's available. That dollar amount, it got seized on in the reporting, and people just started hammering it home, and then it turned into only $700. How is this going to help them recover? None of that's real. None of that's real. There's more resources available. My guess is that FEMA will set up a center, more than likely, in the first building big enough right next to where the disaster struck. That's normally what they do. That's not the ideal place for it, but that's normally what they do. You can go in there with whatever paperwork you have. They are very accustomed to dealing with people who don't have all of the documentation that you would normally need for a federal program. They know how it works. They know that your papers are missing. If you have all of that stuff, it makes the process run smoother. So if you have it, definitely bring it. But there's more available. Please keep that in mind. There's no reason to suffer unnecessarily because the resources are there. Sometimes you have to apply for them. Sometimes it's a matter of saying, okay, well, I lived in this particular area with the address, and that helps them determine it. There's a lot of stuff. The other thing to note is that once this money starts flowing, sometimes people say, oh, well, I'll go get some. Only get stuff that you're actually qualified for. Because what happens is in the initial rush, FEMA does actually want to help. And they push stuff through. Later, they go back and make sure you actually qualified for it. And if you didn't, somebody's going to come knock on your door. So the resources are available. Also, don't take those resources from people who actually need them. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.